Revelation chapter 1 was introductory. God says hello to the churches, speaks of John's initial vision, and is commissioned to write the book. Chapters 2 and 3 speaks to the 7 churches, commends them, reprimands them, exhorts them, and gives them promises and incentives, urging them to turn to the Christ, where those things are needed. Chapters 4 and 5 are written for encouragement before the apocalyptic chunk of the book begins in earnest. 4 says, believe in God, the sovereign ruler and all-powerful creator. Chapter 5 says, believe in His only holy Son, who's an incredible lover and who Himself is the manifestation of God's love. If all that's true, the Christians don't have to worry about this tremendous struggle that's about to ensue between themselves and Rome, backed by the devil. Chapter 6 saw the ripping off of the seals of the book of the destiny of God's people. In quick succession, seal 1 says Christ is coming forth to conquer and yet to conquer, so don't worry. Seals 2, 3, and 4 involve the 4 sore judgments of God on the earth. Seal 5 said the saints are going to be persecuted. And the question comes up about the morality of the suffering of God's people. When are they going to be avenged? The 6th seal gives assurance. They will indeed be avenged when the wrath of the Lamb is poured out on people on the earth. When such wrath is poured out, who's able to stand? The last question in chapter 6. Chapter 7 assures the Christian, the 144,000. Chapter 7 assures the Christian that the people of God, every single one of them, the last man, is exempt from this judgment. That doesn't mean exempt from suffering, but it means exempt from punishment. The difference between suffering and punishment is deep and wide. Christians may go through suffering with the guilty, but they're never punished for the guilty. 144,000 are sealed to tell us by vision the people of God are exempt. Yes, but can God deliver? Is God faithful? Does the sealing really work? Does it matter to belong to God, huh? Yes, sir, it matters. And chapter 7, 9 through 17 tells us the sealing does work. Those who were sealed in the face of the coming terror come out of the terror, whether they've lived or died, you see, doesn't matter. They've come out of the terror, and what do they look like? Well, they're slouching around there, badly broken, you know, and blood-stained and smoke-smelling and all. No, sir. They come out wearing white robes. They've got palms in their hands. They're yelling and singing hallelujah to God. They're thanking Him for deliverance. They're telling Him that He's the best thing they've ever come across. They're like sheep being led by the Lamb. They're not thirsting anymore. They're not hungry anymore, for the Lamb knows how to provide. All the crying they've been doing because of the pressure of the ungodly is all gone. That's chapter 7. Now chapter 8. In chapter 6 we had 6 seals. Now we're going into the 7th seal. Here's what's interesting. In the book of Revelation, you have 7 seals, like a preacher's 7 main points. Under the 7th seal, as if it were under a 7th point, there are 7 more points. Under the 7th seal, included in it, comes 7 trumpets. And when we get to it, I'll point it out again. But when we get to the 7th trumpet, under that comes 7 bowls. So in your mind's eye, picture seal 1, seal 2, seal 3, all the way down to seal 7. And then, as if they were sub-points, put under seal seven trumpets. Trumpet 1, 2, 3, 4 to 7. And then under trumpet 7, as if they were sub-points, put 7 bowls. Bowl 1, bowl 2, bowl 3. So in a very real sense, the structure of Revelation lets you have everything else under the 7th seal. Okay? He opened the 7th seal. Nothing follows right away but silence. What is that silence? Whatever it is, it lasts a half an hour. Now I think there are 2 things with it. 2 things. One, it's a drum roll. What you'd expect is activity. What you get is silence. And sometimes silence gets your attention more than noise. It acts like a drum roll. Have you ever seen a fella at a circus going to do a particularly difficult trapeze act? Just before he does it, you get that drum roll bit. That's what this silence says. But it's silence for half an hour. What's significant about a half an hour? In the writings of John, hour is pregnant with meaning. It's always the critical juncture. It's always the moment of arrival. Christ will say to his mother in John chapter 2, "Woman, what have I to do with you? Mine hour has not yet come." They wanted to kill him, but they couldn't because his hour wasn't come. Over and over again we hear that. In 13:1 of John we hear Jesus knowing his hour was come. To John, he does the same thing in 1 John 2 and verse 18. He said, "My little children, you know it's the last hour." It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. He means it's the critical moment when the Antichrist appears. It's the last hour. The Antichrist is coming. Well, he goes on to say, you know there are many Antichrists already around, and that's how you know it's the last hour. To John, hour is a critical moment of activity. A break in that suggests a delay. A delay. God is delaying. What for? God's not willing that any perish. God is not anxious for the wicked to die. Ezekiel 18, 2 Peter 3 verse 9. Drum roll, but an opportunity. A break before God begins to really work the wrath that needs to be worked. A break in the divine activity. A break, a delay before the hour, the critical moment arrives. I saw the 7 angels stand before God, and they were given 7 trumpets. What we're about to read are 7 trumpets. What are trumpets? Well, it's not hard to find out. Get your concordance, read the Old Testament text for yourself. Trumpets were used for a number of things, but over and over again you find them used for 2 things. To call the people to assembly, to call them to attention. And the other is for alarm, warning. Now those work out to be the same, though sometimes to call them to attention is not to make them alarmed. But it always is to call people to attention, and very often to blow a trumpet of alarm. What are these trumpets that we're about to see? They are God's warning judgments. They are God's call to attention of the oppressor. Now they're for the oppressor. They're poured out on the oppressor, and it says, in spite of them being poured out, they didn't repent of their wickedness. So the trumpets are warning judgments. Now that's all you need to remember. Keep that in mind, and though you may get lost in the details every now and then, you'll have the grand thrust of it. What are we about to read? We're about to read of God saying to the ungodly world, I'm going to give you 7 warnings here, okay? They're given 7 trumpets. In verse 3, an angel came, stood over the altar, having a golden censer. It was given unto him much incense. He gets that off the altar of incense, of course. He stood over the altar, having a golden censer, and it was given unto him much incense, that he should add it unto the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. Right there by the curtain. Right there by the curtain sat the altar of incense. Some make the claim that that curtain high up had a vent, so that when they poured the incense on the altar of incense, the incense continuously poured into the Holy of Holies and kept it not only dark, but full of sweet-smelling incense and cloudy in there, you see. Here comes this angel. He stands over by the burnt offering altar. He's got a golden censer. He takes coals from the burnt offering altar, and he offers up incense on the golden altar. There are two altars here, and I haven't made myself clear on that. One's the altar of burnt offering, and one's the golden altar. That's the golden altar is the altar of incense. The other one was a bronze one, you see. The golden altar is the altar of incense, which is before the throne, just right by the curtain. That's where it sat in the tabernacle. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints went up before God out of the angel's hands. The incense made the prayers of the saints sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. And the angel took the censer, and he filled it with the fire of the altar. That's the burnt offering altar. He filled it with the fire of the altar, and he cast it on the earth. You, when you get a chance, read of Ezekiel chapter 10, where the man clothed in fine linen goes in between the whirling wheels of the cherubim, gets fire from the cherubim, and casts the fire on the earth, specifically on Jerusalem at that point. So, heaven is casting fire on the earth. Notice what happened, however. The casting of the fire on the earth followed the offering up of the prayers of the saints. You remember in the fifth seal? The souls prayed to God and said, how long, how long? Now the prayers are going up in verses 3 and 4. And following the prayers of the saints, chapter 8, verse 5, following the prayers of the saints, fires cast on the earth. What does that let you know? This is not accident. These judgments are not just something that happened. These are judgments poured out in regard to the pleas of the saints, in regard to the persecution of the saints, in regard to the suffering of the saints. The prayers of the saints do make a difference. I don't have to understand her. I don't have to understand all the theological problems. I just believe my master, and so do you. He says, you get the praying and leave the theological problems to me. So, what have we heard? There's a judgment coming. 7 trumpets, warning judgments, poured out on the earth. Here we go. In quick succession, okay? The 7 angels that had the 7 trumpets prepared to sound. The first one sounded, there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. Does that remind you of anything? Hail with fire? How about blood? Does that remind you of anything? Of course it does. It reminds you of the plagues. Reminds you of the plagues. You see, if you'll hold this next thing in your mind, it'll really help you. All of these judgments are modeled on the plagues. If you can keep in your mind what those plagues meant to Egypt, you'll remember what these judgments mean to Rome. What God did in the plagues to Egypt, what were they? Warning, judgments. What did he say? Let my people alone. Pharaoh said, I will not. God said, all right, here's a 10-lesson correspondence course. And he laid it on them. What the plagues were to Egypt, the trumpets are to Rome. But notice, they're not completely like the plagues, of course, but notice how they work together. The first one sounds in hail and fire. Read the record of the hail. Read the 7th plague. And if you read it closely, you'll find out it was a terrific electrical storm. There wasn't just hail. There was fire, lightning, you see. Read it closely. All right. Hail and fire mingled with blood cast on the earth, and a third part was burned up. Trees and grass, a portion of it was burned up. Here food is hit. Now, you're not supposed to go to Roman history and find out if hail and fire fell on the earth and blood and all that, and a third part of their earth burned up. That's not the point at all. Not at all. All you're supposed to do is see this as a warning judgment. It's graphically described. There is no 144,000 literally. There are no great multitude waving palm branches and the like. These are all pictures. This is a picture of a warning by God. Now, I don't know how the punishment worked out. He said, Rome, I'm warning you. And he hits them and warns them. These are warning judgments. Leave my people alone. You're not supposed to look for some literal fulfillment of these. Third part of the trees and the grass all burned up. The second angel signs, and there was, as it were, a great burning mountain, a mountain burning with fire cast into the sea. And a third part of the sea became blood. Here's water to blood. You remember that? You remember water to blood? Same sort of a notion. How about this great burning mountain? Zechariah 4, verse 7. Jeremiah 51, verse 27. Lets you know that a burning mountain is used again and again as a symbol of a fallen kingdom. A fallen kingdom. Nations falling under. Their commerce is hit. This mountain falls into the sea, and a third part of the sea is blood. A third part of the creatures in the sea die. A third part of the ships are destroyed. Commerce is hit. Who alone can set a mountain on fire? God. He comes down on a mountain in the book of Exodus. Comes down on a mountain in the book of Exodus. The whole mountain burns with fire, the scriptures say. Amos chapter 4 says he walks in the mountains and the whole things begin to burn. Micah says he steps on them and they all begin to flow like wax. God burns kingdoms and crashes down kingdoms, and that hits the commerce, you see. There's the picture right there. Food has been hit. Commerce has been hit. Third part of each. Not the whole ball game, you see. These are warning judgments, not the whole show. Notice the third part of the ships are destroyed. Verses 10 and 11. The third trumpet. There fell from heaven a great star, burning as a torch. It fell in the third part of the rivers, upon the fountains of the waters. And the name of the star is called wormwood. And a third part of the waters became wormwood. Many men died because of the waters, because they were made bitter. Their drinking water is hit. Their world is being hit. The ungodly man's world is being attacked. As God historically attacked the Egyptian world, here in the apocalyptic picture, the Roman world is being attacked. Their drinking water's shot, a third of it. A lot of men drink it, but it's too bitter. The first plague interferes with the drinking water of the Egyptians. That's messed up. And then at Marah, you remember there was bitter water at Marah? And only the Lord could sweeten it. Only the Lord could bitter it. Hal Lindsey says this star is a nuclear device, an ICBM. Doesn't say an ICBM, does it? It says a star. If a star fell on the earth, you know where we would be. The smallest star we can see is our own sun. If our sun ever fell on the earth, we'd be in trouble, wouldn't we? This is not literal. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. The enemies of God's people were judged in ancient times, and God worked against them. And this takes the Old Testament, weaves things together and said, here's a warning judgment for you. Verse 12. 12 speaks about the fourth warning judgment. The sun smitten. Third part of the moon. Third part of the stars. Why? That the third part of them should be darkened, and the day should not shine for the third part of it. A 12-hour day becomes an 8-hour day. He darkens their world for 4 hours of the day. He blacks them out for 4 hours. That's the 9th plague, isn't it? You remember how he attacked the Egyptian skies? For 3 days they never even got up out of their place. These are warning judgments. Lindsay in his school thinks this has got to do with pollution, the kind of thing you get over L.A. It says here that for 4 hours of the day, it's dark. L.A. never saw. I don't wish to be rude. I find this difficult to swallow. Now then, what have we seen? We've seen 4 warning judgments here. 4 warning judgments. What are they for? They're to get the ungodly to repent. Let my people alone. Verse 13 says, I heard an eagle flying in mid-heaven saying with a great voice, woe, 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 for them that dwell on the earth. You see that expression, dwell on the earth? Get your concordance out. Read how often it occurs in Revelation, and every time you get the expression, those that dwell on the earth, you find it's the ungodly. Now then, there are 3 more to go, 13 says. So here we go into chapter 9. Now we're still dealing with warning judgments. Where are we? We're dealing with warning judgments. As God whipped the Egyptian, saying, get off my people's back, so he's whipping the Romans, saying, get off my people's back. 4 warning judgments have been given in the picture. Here's a 5th. I saw a star from heaven falling onto the earth. Not falling, fallen. And it was given unto him the key of the pit of the abyss. You remember how we said that everything good in Revelation has an evil counterpart? Christ is the bright and morning star. This is a fallen star. Christ is the key of death and Hades. This one has the key of the abyss. This is the devil. The devil. Verse 11 says, they have over them, these locusts, they have over them as king the angel of the abyss. That lets you know that the fallen star in 9:1 is the angel of the abyss. In Hebrew, the name of the angel is Abaddon, and in Greek, his name is Apollyon, destroyer. The devil is the one who has the key of the pit where vileness and foulness comes out of. Now then, he's got the key of the pit. He opens the pit of the abyss, and there went up out a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Here's pollution. But it isn't the kind of pollution they're talking about today. It's moral pollution. It's filth and garbage. The whole air is polluted. The devil is called in Ephesians chapter 2:1 and following, the prince of the power of the air. He's the polluter of man's minds. He's the polluter of society. I don't have to tell you about the garbage that's going on in your world and mine. So all of the advice that we can get to oppose the devil is good news. Out of this abyss comes all this smoke. It pollutes the air. People can't breathe. It pollutes their soul. And out of the smoke comes locusts upon the earth. Locusts? Have we read of locusts before? Sure we have. Way back there when Egypt was hit. Here come these locusts. Mr. Lindsay thinks they're maybe Cobra helicopters. Here come the locusts. Power was given unto them as the scorpions have power. They've got stingers in their tail. It was said unto them that it should not hurt the grass of the earth. Don't hurt the green or any tree, but hurt only such as have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Hurt the ungodly. Hurt the man. And it was given unto them that should not kill, but torment Well, let go your Cobra helicopters. They've killed a few, haven't they? But they should be tormented. 5 months. 5 months was the duration of a locust plague. And their torment was as of the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days men shall seek death, and shall in no wise find it. They'll desire to die, and death will flee them. Death will flee them. Well, he opens up the pit. Out comes the moral filth. Out comes the pollution. Yeah, but pollution doesn't hurt you, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Pollution hurts you. Destroys your soul. Here, the description of the power that arises out of the best, that leads from the filth and the smoke. Out of the smoke, out of the pollution, you get things that don't kill you physically. But they torment you. They chew on you. They eat you up. They torment a man. In those days, men will seek death and they won't. They desire to die and death will flee from them. And the locusts, they were like unto horses prepared for war. On their heads they had, as it were, crowns of gold. Faces were men's faces. Hair, the hair of men. Teeth, the teeth of lions. When we were kids, we used to go to the movies. Little girl sitting there, beautiful hair. We'd flirt away with her, and really give her the business. By and by, she'd turn around and smile at us, and she looked like Godzilla, and we'd take off. What does that tell you? Hair like a woman and teeth like a lion. What does it tell you? It tells you the speciousness of it. The promissory note in it. It'll give you all that you want, but it'll ravage you just the same. I'm telling you, pollution will do it. Let's take it up from there the next time we get together, all right? We're talking about warning judgments on the oppressor. Thank you.